from the station that's taking action for you. This is an Action News 5 breaking news alert.
Breaking news alert, one person is dead after a shooting in Whitehaven. This morning, we're live at the scene with what we know so far in the investigation. We're also staying on top of more breaking news, this one in Hickory Hill, where there is a large presence of Shelby County Sheriff's deputies. We'll give you the latest in this breaking development. And could Memphis be getting upgrades to many of its stadiums? The plans and works to make your experience cheering on the Memphis Grizzlies, Tigers, or 901 FC even better. Folks, we've got a lot of news to get to this Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on Action News 5 at 6 a.m. It's Wednesday, October 11th. I'm Noah Sershin in for Ariana and Andrew. Well, temperatures are going to start feeling like fall pretty soon. Let's get a first check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Patrick Ellis. Good morning, Patrick.
Yeah, eventually we'll get to some cooler temperatures, but I'd like to see some of this rain that's down to the south of us this morning. They are getting some much needed rainfall. Let's be honest with ourselves. Places like South Mississippi, Louisiana were baking as well as Texas for a good chunk of late July through August, early September, and finally getting some decent rainfall. But it'd be nice if that gets all the way up here to our neck of the woods. Just not the case. We get the clouds to blow off from this area of low pressure that's blowing up here in the western Gulf of Mexico that will be scooting across this warm front towards the east. But for us, just clouds, maybe a rogue shower, but most spots likely to stay dry. As we take a live look from our High Five camera in downtown, looking back towards the FedEx Forum as well as Beale Street this morning. Temperatures are starting off 50s and 60s. Marietta checking in at 67 now, 64 as you're starting off in Clarksdale, 61 in Tunica, Olive Branch, 65 in Memphis, Somerville checking in at 55 degrees. So clouds, that's going to be the big thing that you'll notice throughout the day today, at least through about 1 or 2 o'clock. I think we start to see some sunshine breaks, I think in the metro area sometime 2 to 4 o'clock this afternoon. But if you're east of the metro, it may be all day long that you're stuck in the clouds. Farther west of the metro, I think you do get into some sunshine a little earlier that may be able to boost the temperatures up a couple of extra notches. Between 77 and 82 the highs today. A full check of your first alert forecast coming up.
This first alert traffic report is sponsored by Gateway Tires.
Most of my mapping system this morning is showing up in the clear with widespread green, but notice you see some red developing on the I-40 bridge. Let me show you what that looks like. Take a look at this. They have that routine inspection going on. It started at 8 o'clock last night, and they're still out there working. So right now, they have 2 lanes blocked off, and all those cars are being forced over to the right lane. So that's causing some delays. The good news is it's supposed to end at 6:30 in the morning. So if you're headed out the door right now, it's going to get you. But if you're leaving a little later, this area should be clear. Sometimes it takes them a little longer to clear it up. Sometimes they wrap up early, but something I will continue to keep a close eye on. But the I-55 bridge, not seeing any issues there for right now. When you see me again, I'll tell you what's going on outside of the interstate system, some things that could potentially slow you down.
6:03 the time right now, and we're following some breaking news out of Whitehaven where a man is dead after a shooting. MPD said that it happened on Clower Road just off of Rains Road. The victim was shot just before 5 this morning. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition where he later died. We're following more breaking news this morning where there is a large presence of Shelby County Sheriff's deputies in Hickory Hill. Deputies are on the scene of Hacks Cross near Marshall Woods Drive. We have learned that this is because a man accidentally shot himself in the leg just before 3 a.m. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. More breaking news now. We learned overnight that Shelby County Commission Special Advisor Janet Hooks has died at the age of 70. Hooks served on the Memphis City Council for 16 years. She then served in Mayor Myron Lowry and Mayor A.C. Wharton's administrations as the Director of Parks and Neighborhoods. She was beloved by her friends and community. Tennessee State Representative Antonio Parkinson released a statement on her death saying, quote, "For me, Janet Hooks was one of those people that you loved seeing because she would always greet you with a genuine warm embrace and her infectious smile. She watched and helped to guide me through my days serving at the Memphis and Shelby County Music Commission, and I am grateful to her for that and many more of her acts of selflessness. We sadly mourn the loss of this amazing, smart, and beautiful woman. Rest in peace, Janet Hooks," end quote. Details of Janet Hooks' memorial will be shared in the oncoming days. New this morning, Memphis police have made an arrest from a shooting in Fox Meadows on Monday that left 1 person dead and 2 others injured. MPD arrested 22-year-old Kevin Rucker on first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and possession of a firearm during a dangerous felony. Police got to the scene of a shooting a little after 5:30 Monday at Mojave Place, where they found 2 people shot. Officers found a 2003 Lincoln Town car in the parking lot where one of those victims was found. The second victim was found uninjured and another victim was found dead. The people who survived the shooting told MPD that they had been feuding with Rucker for years. They said that they noticed Rucker following them. He later drove alongside them and fired shots at them. Both victims identified Rucker in a lineup. 2 vehicles were stolen in Corinth, Mississippi. This happened on October 3rd at the Harper Quick Shop. Surveillance video showed a red Infiniti pulling into the parking space and 2 males exiting, getting inside 2 vehicles and leaving northbound. A 1-year-old was in one of the cars at the time. That baby was under the care of a babysitter. The Corinth Police Department arrested 3 people, including a juvenile. Kobe Davis is charged with carjacking and directing a youth to commit a felony. Robert Bolden is charged with 4 accessory counts before and after the fact. A juvenile is charged with carjacking and kidnapping. Bolden is held in the Alcorn County Jail, and Davis is being held in McNairy County, Tennessee, to face other charges. Multiple law enforcement agencies teamed up yesterday to serve a search warrant in Fayette County. They served the warrant on Old Brownsville Road near the Haywood County border. Agents seized an ounce of meth and nearly 1 ounce of ecstasy. They also found crack and powder cocaine, marijuana, a loaded weapon, and scales. 1 man was arrested during the raid. Families living at Serenity Towers are still without answers after another day in court. For the second time this month, Serenity Towers, an income-based housing high-rise, was in Shelby County Environmental Court without legal representation. Environmental Court Judge Patrick Dandridge was not pleased by the latest update from the City of Memphis inspectors on the ongoing issues with the AC and elevators not being fixed. Now, residents are having trouble with their hot water.
Highest temperature that we have gotten was 103 degrees, which was just in 1 unit. All other units came below that, and our standard is 110.
A city elevator inspector also told the judge Serenity Towers never paid for repairs, causing the elevator service to be suspended. Judge Dandridge issued fines for over $2,000 for defective AC units, elevators, and hot water. The judge also said he is hoping to close the case, but now court is rescheduled for Tuesday, October 17th. Well, the Memphis City Council has accepted hundreds of millions of dollars in state funding for upgrades at sports venues across the city. Action News 5, Sydney Hawkins is live now with how much money is coming to Memphis sports. Sydney.
We are talking $350 million, the approval coming from Tennessee state legislators earlier this year, but the funding was just awarded, as you mentioned, just yesterday to city leaders. And the upgrades could include upgrades to FedEx Forum as well as Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, or building a new stadium for our city's soccer team, that's 901 FC. With FedEx Forum, we're talking about inverting the number of seats in the arena's lower bowl. Premium seating options have been discussed at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, as well as adding a hospitality experience. Now, the focus, as pushed by outgoing Mayor Jim Strickland, is to bring more opportunities to Memphis and make it more competitive against other places. Yesterday, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee praised the economic opportunities that come along with this funding. Listen.
Sports venues around the state are really economic development opportunities. That's what they are. They're investments in jobs and economic development for a community. It's not just about the sport itself, but about the tax dollars generated, the economic environment created, and the jobs that become available as a result of that economic activity.
Now, earlier this year, there was a concern the state legislature would not approve this funding for sports stadium upgrades. State Representative Justin J. Pearson says when he was expelled from the State House for protesting on the floor, some of his colleagues threatened to cut local funding for Memphis, and that included some of the millions of dollars for stadium upgrades if he was reappointed by county commissioners ahead of his eventual re-election. So again, of course, that did not happen with the approval and awarding of this new funding. Memphis City Council members are back in session in about 2 weeks, where they are expected to revisit this discussion about where this funding will be allocated. As of this morning, there's no word on where city leaders plan to divvy out this money. For now, I'm live in downtown Memphis. Sydney Hawkins, Action News 5.
Thanks, Sydney. Ahead today, multiple topics are on the agenda for the Shelby County Commission meeting. One of the big topics is the allocation of opioid funds, Tennessee making the first payments from opioid lawsuit settlements across the state. More than $1 million will be given to local jurisdictions. Shelby County will receive $3.5 million. The meeting starts at 8:30 this morning.
6:09 the current time here across the Mid-South. We've got a lot of clouds pushing in across the region. Notice out to the west over towards Fayetteville, Arkansas, it's starting to see a little bit of clearing. That'll eventually start to shift in our direction. But in the meantime, it's going to be more clouds than not as we go through this Wednesday. Notice the rain not terribly far off from making its way towards our neck of the woods, but just not having a lot of success in doing so. Actually, a lot of this is getting is evaporating before hitting the ground, at least along the I-20 corridor. Farther south, it is wet to start off if you're heading down south along I-55 from Jackson down towards maybe New Orleans this morning, as this area of low pressure, you see it swirling right there going off of the South Texas coastline. That's going to scoot eastward. We get the clouds, and that's it. The drier air filters in behind that, and eventually we'll get some sunshine later on today, but it's going to be more clouds than not throughout a good chunk of your day ahead. A live look from our downtown High 5 camera. 50s and 60s this morning will rebound towards the upper 70s and near 80 degrees. Mostly to mainly cloudy skies here as you're heading off to work through the lunch hour, and some sun breaks for the ride home.
This First Alert traffic report is sponsored by Gateway Tires.
Eric, you want to take a moment to hop off the interstate system. I have two problem spots coming your way. The first one, I got reports of a power outage off of New Allen Road and New Fraser Boulevard. If you're familiar with that area, you know the Nike warehouse is not too far off from it. So those of you who have any plans on traveling in that area, be mindful of the power outage. And then I also saw some delays on Hacks Cross and Holmes. We're still working to find out what's causing the delay. It could be an accident, a roadblock, or simply maybe a stalled vehicle. Either way, keep this in mind. We are noticing delays off of Hacks Cross and Holmes Road. So those of you in Olive Branch, if you're trying to get inbound this morning, this could potentially slow you down. So tag an extra 5 to 10 minutes for your morning ride out.
Well, time is ticking for the U.S. House of Representatives to pick a new House Speaker. Just ahead, the latest on the race for a new House Speaker as the war rages on in Israel. Plus, a new retention law is in the works to help students in math. How this new retention law proposal differs from the controversial reading retention law that went into effect last year. And the familiar face you might know that got a 4-chair turn on the recent episode of The Voice. We'll tell you the ties this singer has to the Mid-South. Stay with us.
Taking action. For you, you're watching Action News 5 at 6.
New this morning, funeral service plans have been announced for Bellevue Baptist pastor Tim Shelton. We told you Monday that he experienced cardiac arrest from competing in a triathlon. Bellevue Baptist announced that all memorial events will take place on Saturday, October 14th in the church's worship center. The visitation will be held from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The funeral will begin immediately following the visitation. The church says that if you are not able to attend, you can stream the services online on their website. They also ask that you give to the Family's Benevolence Fund. All you have to do is go to bellevue.org/Shelton, enter Shelton Family to the memo, and 100% of your gift will go to the Sheltons. Tennessee lawmakers are planning to push a new bill for math intervention that will be similar to the reading retention law. This time they say that holding back students a grade won't be an option. The law would require summer school or tutoring students scoring below their TCAP or universal screener. It would apply to all K-8 students, not just third graders. Statewide, about 34% of students tested proficient in math last school year.
You have to know how to read by third grade. But after third grade, once you know how to read, reading is repetitive. Once you know how to read, you know how to read, right? With mathematics, it's building. Addition, then subtraction, then division, then multiplication.
State Democrats against the bill argue that this is the wrong way to bring up scores, comparing it to the third grade reading retention law. Democrats say it did nothing to achieve its stated purpose. MDOT's track record of efficiency has earned the department over $100 million in extra federal funds. In addition to making states' highways safer, additional federal funding enables MDOT to continue investing in Mississippi's infrastructure. This comes in various ways, such as road rehabilitation and bridge upgrades, including expansion projects. The American Red Cross says that the U.S. blood supply has reached critically low levels. It is now asking for high schools and colleges to bring back blood drives to help combat the shortage. The Red Cross says donations have dropped nearly 25% since August. Months of disruptive weather and fewer blood drives at high schools and colleges have strained the supply. Before COVID, about 25% of the blood came from drives. Those donations still haven't reached pre-pandemic levels. We're following breaking news from western Afghanistan this morning, where another earthquake shook that part of the country after another earthquake killed more than 2,000 people just days ago. Today's quake was a magnitude 6.3, equal to that one that struck on Saturday. Hundreds of homes that survived the earlier disaster collapsed this morning. However, officials say that initial casualty figures appear to be low because people have been living in tents this week, afraid to stay inside any building because of the strong aftershock. Meanwhile, back here in the United States, a government shutdown is looming and Israel is at war, and Congress is largely unable to help. House Republicans say that they hope to change that by electing a new House Speaker today. First on the agenda is a proposed rule change. It would ensure a candidate has enough support to take the gavel before a floor vote. After that, Republicans hope to pick a new speaker. Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise are the two men vying for the job. It's unclear if either candidate has enough support to get elected. Well, we're sending a high five to one Memphian who appeared on the blind auditions of The Voice and got all 4 of the judges' chairs to turn around. Take a look.
My heart on you, I'm gonna lose.
Oh, he sounds really good there. Brandon Montel turned all 4 chairs with the cover of Hers Hard Place. Brandon chose Gwen to be his coach after John Legends was blocked from being an option. Brandon says that he is overwhelmed and excited to be a part of the season. Congratulations, Brandon. Time now, 6:17 on a Wednesday morning, and we've been seeing dry conditions here in the Mid-South for weeks, but some much-needed rain is falling in some parts of the Mid-South. You're never more than 7 minutes away from First Alert weather and traffic. Let's get another check of our forecast with meteorologist Patrick Ellis.
The weather has been kind of back and forth, to say the least. Of course, we've had warm weather, we've had dry weather, and for some, that's good news. But of course, once you get the grain and the crops and all these things, trying to get them to market, that's a problem because, again, the river has been so low, and that comes by way of the ongoing drought situation that we've been dealing with. And unfortunately for us today, probably not going to see very much in the way of rainfall coming in direction. Lots of clouds, but not a lot of rain. There might be a rogue shower in 1 or 2 spots here today, but most spots will likely remain dry. There you go with the clouds. Again, throughout the morning hours into the early afternoon, we'll see some sunshine breaking back here in the metro area sometime around maybe 2, 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon as we make a run towards 80, and then full sunshine by the end of the day. If you live farther east, closer to the Tennessee River, it may be all day that you're stuck underneath the clouds, while eastern Arkansas communities, I think you do break out closer to maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's a look at the cloud coverage forecast. Again, cloudy skies, overcast, but through the morning hours into the early afternoon. Here in Memphis, by about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll start to see the clouds breaking up, and by this evening, right around sunset, we should be in clear sky mode for a couple of hours. I think we do kind of go back and forth between clouds and sunshine as we head through the next couple of days. Now, the main story is going to be that subtropical low, I'd say tropical entity down towards the western Gulf of Mexico, moving across the northern Gulf Coast, bringing rain for them. We stay dry, but we just get the clouds associated with it. That basically robs a lot of moisture from getting pulled back into the next system coming down the pipeline. This one will come through here with not a lot of fanfare. There will be some opportunities for a few showers and eventually cooler weather to go along with it as well. And it turns windy in the wake of this system, but not a lot of rain to come in our direction. Of course, it's been somewhat a little bit above average for this time of the year. We should be in the middle to upper 70s. It's still low 80s expected today, tomorrow. Friday may be one of the warmest days before the cool down comes in our direction. 72 for a high on Saturday. The wind's starting to pick up out of the west. They turn northerly as we head towards Sunday and Monday. Look at the highs in the lower to middle 60s, and it will feel even cooler than that because of a fairly aggressive north wind coming through here, 10 to 20 miles per hour, some higher gusts. Of course, as you're heading out the door this morning, it's quiet but cloudy across the Mid-South as we take a live look from our High 5 camera at the University of Memphis. The number right now, 65 in Memphis, 60 in Blytheville, over 55 in Dyersburg. Good morning to our friends up in Dyer County, 57 in Selmer. Adamsville, Bethel Springs 55, and Corinth were 58 degrees. Potts Camp as well as Lamar this morning, Ripley, and 63 down towards Taylor and Oxford this morning. So from there, we'll top out near 80 degrees. Again, a fair amount of clouds here today, giving way to some sunshine late day. Mixture of sunshine and clouds come Thursday. Back and forth between clouds and sun, a bit breezy with a southerly wind coming in here. 84 the high coming up on Wednesday. Then here comes the windy conditions out of the north, ushering in the cooler air. The Canadian Express on the way for next week.
This First Alert traffic report is sponsored by Gateway Tires.
The problem spot this morning, let's talk about it. This is a live look at the M Bridge in the westbound direction. So going into West Memphis, been talking about it all morning long. We had an overnight emergency crews there working on a routine inspection. And that's supposed to wrap up at 6:30 in the morning. So we're almost there. But if you're getting an early morning start, this is what you can expect. 2 lanes blocked, only working with 1. And that's causing some delays. Let me show you the back end of it. This is a look at that. You can see the cars just crawling along there. You have the option to take the I-50 bridge or just tack an extra 5 to 15 minutes of travel time because this will slow you down. But we're going to keep a close eye on it because it's expected to wrap up at 6:30 in the morning.
Well, still to come on Action News 5 at 6 a.m., a look at the new mural honoring the Bar-Kays and why the family of one of the members is saying it's bittersweet. That story next.
Taking action for you. You're watching Action News 5 at 6.
Well, check this out this morning. Look at this right next to my shoulder. You're looking at one of the newest murals in the Edge District honoring Memphis soul pioneers, the Bar-Kays. The Memphis Funk Band was formed in 1964. The band has dozens of charting singles, backing major artists at Stax Records like Otis Redding. In 1967, Redding and 4 members of the band died in a plane crash. Ben Cauley, the band's trumpet player, was the only member that survived the crash. Cauley helped reform the Bar-Kays and keep the legacy alive. He died in 2015, and his daughter says that if the band could see their mural today, they would be proud of its lasting impact.
Just historical. It's a bittersweet moment, you know. I'm overjoyed, but it's also bittersweet, you know. And my dad passed away like 7 years ago. And, you know, he's still being talked about to this day, you know. So his legacy lives on forever.
Muralist Brandon Knott designed the mural located on 619 Madison Avenue. Looking ahead, the Memphis Police Department will be hosting a community awareness forum. It will happen on Thursday, October 19th from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at City Hall inside the City Council chamber. There, you will be able to receive information on many topics ranging from crime prevention to a new community impact initiative. The event is free and food will also be served. There are some good bargains for you to snag as Big Deal Days continues today on Amazon. It is the 9th year for the discounts on items across the board from beauty to big screens. As always, you need to be a Prime member to take part in these deals. Ahead on Action News 5 at 6:30, a big discovery made in Illinois as a boxcar from Memphis containing shoes was found. How police say that the suspects were able to commit these cargo thefts. But first, showing support. How the Mid-South is helping those in Israel as the war rages on. And Mikey Williams won't be suiting up to play with the Memphis Tigers. The reasons he'll be sidelined when the Tigers basketball season starts. And we could finally start to feel like fall as temperatures are expected to take a dive. Could rain be on the way too? We'll have the answer. You're never more than 7 minutes away from weather and traffic on the station that's taking action for you. Action News 5 at 6:30 starts right after the break.
Taking action for you. Action News 5 at 6:30 starts now.
I want to ask of Hamas, don't hurt them. Don't hurt little children, don't hurt women.
We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. We will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, to respond to this attack.
Now on Action News 5 at 6:30, the cries from Israelis as the war goes on between Israel and Hamas. And you heard it there. President Biden says that he will help the people of Israel. Ahead on this half hour of Action News 5 at 6 a.m., the latest from the war in Israel, and you'll hear from how Mid-Southerners are helping to step up. And moving Memphis forward, how Governor Bill Lee hopes to work with Mayor-elect Paul Young and who will replace his role in the Downtown Commission. Find out the steps to choose the next president and CEO. A busy Wednesday as we say good morning to you. Thanks for sticking with Action News 5 at 6 a.m. I'm Noah Sershin. It is October 11th, and we're waking up to some clouds this morning, but how long will they stick around? Let's get a first check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Patrick Ellis. Good morning, Patrick.
Here's a look at what we got going on this morning. Live look from our High 5 camera in Midtown. You're looking back out towards East Memphis. Clouds have built in across the region here this morning. You see them rolling in. Out towards the west of us, you see clearing skies out in southwestern Missouri, eastern portions of northeastern portions of Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas. Eventually, that's going to head in our direction. But in the meantime, what's going on? A very large, expansive system. A lot of rainfall associated with it. But unfortunately, that rain just not getting here. Across the metro area, lots of clouds here today. By lunch, we'll be in the middle 70s. Clouds will start to clear out as we get closer to the afternoon drive home. So dismissal time and their drive home, we'll start to see some more sunshine with temperatures right around 80 degrees. Skies should be mostly quiet and clear tonight. Maybe a patch or two of fog as you start off early on Thursday morning. Will there be a chance for some rain to come back into the fold? We'll talk about that in your first alert forecast and where we go from here towards the cooler weekend coming up in a few minutes. Let's get you out on the roadways with Taylor.
All right, guys, take a look at this. This is the M Bridge. Those of you headed into Arkansas this morning, this has been the sight all morning long. It's pretty congested in this area, all due to a routine inspection. It started last night, and it's supposed to end at 6:30, but it's 6:32, and it's still ongoing. What you're seeing is two lanes are blocked. All these cars are being forced over to merge into one lane, and that's what's causing the heavy delays in that area. So those of you, if you have plans on traveling into West Memphis this morning from the I-40 bridge, keep this in mind. Tag an extra 15 to 20 minutes for your ride out. I'll keep a close eye on it as well to see when they reopen those lanes and we can get traffic moving as we would like it to. Now, near the flyover this morning, not seeing that stop and go action just yet. Traffic is still light, but as we inch closer to the 7 o'clock time period, you know what happens. So if you want to get an early morning start, that's not a bad idea, because on the interstate system, I'm not tracking any accidents or delays for right now at 6:32.
And we're following some breaking news out of Whitehaven where a man is dead after a shooting. MPD said that it happened on Clower Road just off of Rains Road. The victim was shot just before 5 this morning. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition where he later died. In a breaking news update, the man who fled an Oxford, Mississippi courtroom yesterday has been captured. We told you about this yesterday on Action News 5 at 4. 25-year-old Jasper Jenkins ran away from court. This morning, we have learned that the Oxford Police Department found him just hours later. Jenkins was arrested in connection with a February 2022 armed robbery at a home on Oxford Way. He was arrested about a week later by the United States Marshals. He was charged with residential burglary, conspiracy, armed robbery, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Also in a breaking news update, a big bust in the investigation of Nike shoes stolen from Memphis in a boxcar. We told you about this last month. We learned that this theft seems to be a part of a larger crime ring. Detectives raided a warehouse outside of Chicago, finding many of those shoes with other stolen merchandise. Police say that they were being sold to unsuspected retailers.
What they would do is they'd commit these cartage thefts, Memphis, Tennessee. They'd relabel it, and they would ship it here. They would unpackage it, repackage it, and it's 100% markup, right? Because you got them all for nothing.
2 people were charged from the raid on the warehouse. Police say more arrests are likely.
Think of us not just as that headline, but we're people with families, and we want to be back families again.
Families separated, more than 2,000 people are dead, and thousands more are injured or missing. You're taking a live look in Israel as the war rages on. Overnight, Israeli strikes demolished entire neighborhoods in the Gaza Strip. And as the tensions continue to rise there, many people across the United States are showing support, including here in Memphis in the Mid-South. Action News 5, Sydney Hawkins joining us live now ahead of a show of solidarity happening today. Sydney, what can you tell us?
All eyes are on Israel this morning, and later tonight, the Memphis Jewish Community Center will be bringing some of those eyes together for a solidarity gathering. Again, that will be later tonight, and it comes as at least 14 Americans have died in the attacks, the Hamas attacks on Israel. The Israeli government declared war on Hamas Sunday. Nearly 2,000 people have been killed following those attacks, and at least 100 people have been reported being held hostage. Action News 5 spoke with some of the women originally from Memphis who have made Israel their home for some time now. They tell us they're safe, but they're very confused about the recent conflict as well as this ongoing war. This as two Tennessee representatives, Steve Cohen as well as David Kustoff, are advocating for aid for Israel. And President Biden has said the White House is sending military supplies to Israel. And back here in Memphis, again, that solidarity gathering will be at 5 o'clock tonight at the Memphis Jewish Community Center. We will be there providing live coverage if you aren't able to make it. For now, I'm reporting live in Memphis. Sydney Hawkins, Action News 5.
Thanks, Sydney. And as the war continues in Israel, make sure you stay with Action News 5. We'll have the latest developments on air and online. Just go to actionnews5.com. New this morning, Governor Bill Lee is giving his take on the future mayor of Memphis, Paul Young. Just 1 week post-election, Young and his team are currently in the transition period, moving from one important role to another. Young led the Downtown Memphis Commission as president and CEO for more than 2 years, overseeing many projects. Governor Bill Lee says that he and Young have communicated back and forth and plan on getting together to talk about what the state can do for Memphis very soon.
If Tennessee is going to continue to lead the country, then Memphis has to have a continued acceleration, and I think the new mayor and I both agree that that's likely and possible, and look forward to working together with him.
The Downtown Memphis Commission Board is meeting Friday to discuss the transition from Young to the next president and CEO. The commercial appeal reports applications will open, then interviews in late November. The selection process will start in mid-December. Memphis Tigers recruit Mikey Williams is expected to stand trial on 6 felony gun charges. He faces charges for a shooting that happened at his California home back in April. He is enrolled in classes at the University of Memphis, but has not been allowed to join the basketball program until the case is resolved. New this morning, the Mississippi River at Memphis is setting all-time record lows for the second year in a row. The National Weather Service says the river fell to minus 11 feet at the Memphis recording station earlier yesterday afternoon. Now, if it's verified, that would surpass the previous all-time low record of minus 10.97 feet, which was set back in September of last year. With no significant rainfall in the foreseeable futures, forecasters expect the river to remain low.
Here's a look at what's going on. We'll take you down to Oxford this morning. Our MDOT camera there at Highway 278 and Jackson Avenue. You're looking back off to the east, and you got clouds to start off here. 63, good morning to our friends there in Lafayette County. 57 in Somerville. We're 62 in Tunica and 65 here in the city of Memphis. We'll take you through North Mississippi, look at some of the communities here. For your Futurecast today, of course, lots of clouds to start off the morning hours, but eventually some sunshine breaks will be on the way. Middle to upper 70s by lunch, taking about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Places like Tunica, Lula, Friars Point, Moon Landing, getting some sunshine. Maybe even places like Como, as well as Batesville and Cortland getting some sunshine by that point in time, including inside the 269 corridor. Farther east, including Oxford, Taylor, Abbeville, back over towards Ripley and Walnut. We're probably going to stay in the clouds for a good chunk of the day. Maybe a chance for a shower, maybe for places like Ripley and Walnut, and also for our friends in Corinth. Eventually clearing out as we head through this evening and dropping back down through the 50s to start off early tomorrow morning under a partly clear sky. Maybe a patch or two of fog to kick off the day near some of the lakes. A full check of your first alert forecast for all sections of the Mid-South coming up in just a few minutes.
This First Alert traffic report is sponsored by Gateway Tires.
I'll give you a breakdown of what we're working with this morning. Notice that red that you see on the I-40 bridge. So going into West Memphis, it's going to be a hassle because of that routine inspection. 2 lanes blocked off, only working with 1. Seeing heavy delays in that area, so tag some extra travel time. But your 240/40 loop, not bad. Been quiet all morning long. No reports of any accidents. Those of you coming inbound this morning, I know many take that 40 route, maybe coming from Lakeland or Arlington, making your way all the way to the flyover. You're all good to go. If you're you're getting an early morning start. I know some like to work 70 to get inbound until it turns into summer. Not seeing any issues there, and pretty quiet on that stretch of Austin Peay Highway. When we move on down, my friends in Mississippi, if you're coming inbound from 55 or 22 or Lamar coming in, all clear there. Even the same story for 385 and Poplar. Of course, all of these areas we tend to see an influx in traffic as we get closer to the 7 o'clock time period. So if you're headed out the door right now, not a bad idea. You're all good to go.
New this morning, the Brooks Museum is getting a new name when it arrives to its riverfront home in downtown in 2025. The museum will be known as the Memphis Art Museum. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland says the new name reflects its dedication to welcome and celebrate everyone in the Bluff City. Now, once completed, the 122,000 square foot Memphis Art Museum will include more dedicated gallery space and art-filled public spaces than the current Overton Park facility. Well, coming up this morning on the Today Show, Hoda Kotb sits down with Jada Pinkett Smith. She opens up about her marriage. You might remember her sitting next to Will during the Oscar slap. Finally, we're getting to hear her perspective on those events that transpired. There will also be a special on Friday night at 7 p.m. She'll also be back next week on the Today Show to talk about her new book called Worthy. Again, that interview coming up this morning on the Today Show. Well, you have the chance to sound off about your problems with MLGW. Up next, we will tell you how the Memphis Power Company is letting you air out your frustrations. But first, tax-free feminine products is just one step closer to being a reality in the natural state. The next steps this initiative has to take to be in effect. And a normal workday led to an interesting discovery. More on this rare sight roaming across the city of Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Do you have a story tip? Call the Action News 5 Investigators Tip Hotline at 866-518-9082.
Taking action for you. You're watching Action News 5 at 6:30.
The Attorney General's office in Arkansas signed language for a ballot initiative yesterday that would exempt feminine hygiene products and diapers from sale taxes. It would start on January 1st in 2025. The initiative was introduced by the Arkansas Period Poverty Project, a group working to end the tax for products like tampons and other similar feminine hygiene products, as well as diapers for adults and children. The next step for the group would be to gather necessary signatures from voters before it can appear on the ballot. Well, the deposition hearing in the civil lawsuit against retired NFL quarterback Brett Favre surrounding Mississippi's welfare scandal has been pushed back. This comes after the request of the athlete's attorney. Favre was supposed to testify later this month. Now the deposition is set for December 11th. He will answer questions under oath about misspending $77 million of federal welfare money in Mississippi. Favre has denied any wrongdoing and no criminal charges have been brought against him. Looking ahead now, MLGW will be holding a community meeting for citizens to discuss any questions they have for the utility service. The meeting is set for Thursday, October 19th at the Baker Community Center on 7943 Church Street in Millington. At 5 p.m., MLGW service advisors will be there to answer any billing or account questions. The Power Hour community meeting will start at 6. Controversial Congressman George Santos of New York is facing new fraud charges. A 23-count indictment accuses him of stealing identities, making charges with donors' credit cards without their knowledge, and lying to election officials. Santos denies committing fraud. He is due in court on October 27th. We are learning new details in that Titan submersible. The U.S. Coast Guard has announced that it has recovered the rest of the debris from that submersible that took a trip to the Titanic and never came back up. They say that they may find human remains along the debris. It was June when that craft imploded, killing all 5 passengers on board. Investigators say they will continue to analyze evidence and conduct interviews ahead of a public hearing. Good news now, construction is moving forward for a new elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. The school will officially break ground October 28th. The Moving Forward Foundation has raised 75% of the funds needed to build the school. You may remember back in May of 2022 when 19 students and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary. That school building will be demolished. Well, a normal workday for a Jonesboro City employee turned into a unique discovery. Terry Harris was cutting grass at a cemetery when he noticed an albino squirrel.
I seen the tail of it, got the red eyes indicating that it's albino, and man, this is one of the most beautiful things you can ever see in your life, man. I'm so serious, man.
Scientists estimate 1 in every 100,000 squirrels are born albino, making it just over 20 of them in the United States.
First Alert Weather, sponsored by your Memphis area Honda dealers.
Here's a look at what's going on in our sunrise video this morning. You're looking out towards East Memphis from Midtown from our High 5 camera here at 1960 Union. Clouds, that's going to be the story here today. As you'll notice on satellite and radar, no rain, but the clouds are going to be pretty dominant in the skies throughout much of the day ahead. It's all thanks to a bigger storm system down to the south of us that is bringing some fairly heavy rains across portions of Texas, Louisiana, South Mississippi, South Alabama, and that's going to be scooting along that frontal boundary, that warm front to the east. Unfortunately for us, we're not going to catch any rain from it, but we do get the clouds here today, and that's about the long and short of it. A live look outside from our High 5 camera that's coming from atop of the over at the University of Memphis to start off the morning hours. Again, 50s and 60s this morning to head out the door. And of course, the hour-by-hour forecast is denoting the clouds this morning. Eventually, some sun breaks will be on the way. I think here in Memphis, 3-4 o'clock this afternoon, but a lot of clouds throughout the day. Eastern Arkansas communities, we're talking maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, some sunshine. And then eastern areas of the Action News 5 coverage area heading out towards the Tennessee River. It may be all day long that you're stuck in the clouds, and you may even catch a quick shower. Here we go into tomorrow morning, a couple patches of fog possible. Otherwise, sunshine giving way to a few clouds at times. High temperatures upper 70s to near 80 degrees. Should be a fairly quiet night Thursday into Friday ahead of our next weather maker. This will be actually the front that will bring us a chance for a few passing showers Friday evening, Friday night, and then shifting out of here, and the cooler weather begins to filter into the region. That sets up well for the Memphis-Tulane game against at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. 6 p.m. kickoff Friday evening. A small chance of a shower in the forecast. Temperatures in the 80s will be down to around 70 by 9 o'clock, and again, a passing shower can't be ruled out. Then Saturday, the partial solar eclipse will start 10:32 in the morning in the skies above Memphis. Now again, want to reemphasize this, not the ring of fire. That's where the moon will cross in front of the sun, and it will give you kind of a half moon look sometime around lunchtime, 60% coverage there. Then the American Cancer Society's American Cancer Society's Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, 3 p.m. on Sunday, cool 60s, variably cloudy skies, and a regressive north wind to go along with it as well. So it'll be cool out there. Make sure you have a jacket handy. We'll go into the 60s for highs for the extended forecast. You can find out the 10-day on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app.
Thanks, Patrick. Well, fall temps are here, and it means that you might want to start making your fall and winter meals. Well, ahead today on the digital desk, commercial appeal food reporter Jennifer Chandler will join our Amanda Hansen to tell us some fall treats you might want to purchase. A final check of our traffic and First Alert forecast, along with your top stories for this Wednesday, are on the other side of the break. Stay with us. And now to this morning's top stories. A man is dead after a shooting in Whitehaven. MPD said that it happened on Clower Road just off of Rains Road. The victim was shot just before 5 this morning. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition where he later died. Shelby County Commission Special Advisor Janet Hooks has died at the age of 70. Hooks served on the Memphis City Council for 16 years. She then served in Mayor Myron Lowry and Mayor A.C. Wharton's administrations as the Director of Parks and Neighborhoods. More than 2,000 people are dead and thousands more are injured or missing as the war rages on in Israel. Overnight, Israeli strikes demolished entire neighborhoods in the Gaza Strip. Here in Memphis, the Memphis Jewish Federation will be holding a solidarity gathering. It will be held at the Memphis Jewish Community Center on Poplar Avenue tonight at 5. Now let's get a final check of our First Alert traffic. Taylor, how are the roads looking?
Yeah, what was supposed to end at 6:30 is still in effect. Take a look at this. I want to show you the I-40 bridge. We had an overnight construction project that was supposed to end at 6:30. Right now, it's still blocking 2 lanes, and those cars are being forced over to the left lane, and that's what's causing heavy delays in that area. So those of you traveling in the westbound direction, tack an extra 15 minutes for your morning ride out because you can see the cars are moving slowly. On the interstate system, not bad this morning. It's been pretty quiet. All the lanes are open for those of you traveling near the flyover or coming in from 385 or Lamar or 55. You're all good to go.
80 degrees of forecast high. Lots of clouds here this morning, giving way to some sun late today. But don't bank on a ton of sunshine in many instances, especially the farther east that you are. Mix of sun and clouds for your Thursday, a high in the upper 70s, close to 80. Middle 80s, still a breezy southerly wind coming in here. They'll kick in a chance for a shower along a frontal boundary that will usher in some cooler weather. Winds turn west-northwest on Saturday, gusting around 20-25 miles per hour. And the colder air dumps in here as we head towards Sunday and into next week.
All right, Patrick and Taylor, thank you, and thanks for joining us this morning on Action News 5. Never forget, Action News 5 is the only station in the Mid-South that has live local newscasts for 8 straight hours. Join our Amanda Hansen on the digital desk starting at 7. Then you can join me later for Action News 5 midday. The Today Show is coming up next. Have a great day.
With the WMC Action News 5 mobile app, you'll be the first to know. From WMCActionNews5.com to text and email alerts for breaking news and weather. It's all right here in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.